I still remember the exact moment my world cracked open. It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon, and I was sitting in my tiny home office, the one I'd turned into a makeshift warehouse, with boxes stacked to the ceiling. My hands were shaking as I held the phone. On the other end was my older sister, Elena, the same sister who'd always been the golden child. Perfect grades, perfect husband, perfect corporate job with the corner office. You're still playing around with that little, what do you call it? Your craft business? She said, her voice dripping with that familiar mix of pity and amusement. Sarah, come on. It's cute, really, but it's worthless. You're wasting your life making candles and jewelry for strangers on the internet while the rest of us are actually building something real. Mom and I were just talking. Maybe it's time you got a real job. Her words hit me like ice water. Worthless. The business I had poured every single dream, every late night, and every last penny into. The one I started after my divorce, when I had nothing but a broken heart and a box of supplies from the craft store. I had cried over failed batches, celebrated my first $47 sale like I'd won the lottery, and slowly built something from nothing. But what I didn't know that day was that everything was about to change. I forced a laugh, the kind that hides the tears burning in my eyes. Yeah, maybe you're right, Elena. I hung up and stared at the screen. My shop page glowed softly, hundreds of orders waiting to be packed. Customers from all over the world telling me my scents helped them through anxiety, that my handmade pieces made them feel beautiful again. But to my own sister, it was just a silly hobby. That night I couldn't sleep. I sat on the floor surrounded by dried flowers and wax melts, whispering to myself, am I really delusional? The doubt she planted wrapped around my chest like chains. I almost believed her, almost. The next few months were the hardest I'd ever faced. Elena's words echoed in my head every time a shipment got delayed. Every time an influencer with 10 times my followers ignored my pitch emails. Every time sales dipped and I wondered if I'd have to close the doors forever. She didn't stop there. At family dinners, she would casually mention her latest promotion or the vacation she and her husband were taking to the Maldives, then turned to me with that smile. How's the little shop going, Sarah? Still making enough for rent? My mother would laugh nervously. My brother would change the subject. And I would sit there smiling through the humiliation, feeling smaller and smaller. The betrayal cut deeper because it came from her, from the person who was supposed to cheer me on. Instead, she treated my dreams like a joke, like I was embarrassing the family. I stopped sharing my wins with them. When I hit my first $10,000 month, I didn't tell a soul. When a major wellness brand reached out for a collaboration, I kept it quiet. I worked harder than ever, crying in the car after long days but refusing to give up. Every time doubt crept in, I remembered her voice calling my business worthless, and it became fuel. Then came the call that changed everything. It was from a huge lifestyle conglomerate. They had discovered my brand. They loved the story, the quality, the loyal community I had built from scratch. After weeks of negotiations, they made an offer. A life-changing offer? I sat in the same tiny office where Elena's words had once shattered me, staring at the email with tears streaming down my face. This time they weren't tears of pain. I didn't call Elena right away. I wanted the moment to be perfect. A few weeks later, we were all at Mom's house for Sunday dinner. Elena was bragging about her new salary bump, flashing her expensive watch. I waited until the conversation naturally turned to me. So, Sarah, she said with that same condescending tone, any plans to finally close down that little side hustle? I looked her straight in the eyes, my voice steady for the first time in years. Actually, Elena, I sold it. She laughed. Oh? How much did you get? A few thousand? That's great. At least you can use it to find a real job. I smiled softly. $42 million. The room went completely silent. Elena's face drained of color. The expensive wine glass in her hand trembled. What did you just say? $42 million, I repeated calmly. They bought the brand, the formulas, the customer list, everything. The deal closed last week. I'm financially free now. And the best part? They want me to stay on as creative director for the next 3 years, with a very generous salary. My mother dropped her fork. My brother stared at me like I'd grown another head. Elena looked like someone had slapped her. All the years of her subtle digs, her superiority, her dismissal of my worthless little business came crashing down on her in that single moment. She tried to recover. You're joking, right? Sarah, that's not possible. You must have misunderstood the numbers. I pulled out my phone and showed her the official press release that had gone out that morning. Her eyes scanned the headline, Indie Wellness Brand, acquired for $42 million. My name was right there, my story. For the first time in our lives, Elena had nothing to say. Later that evening, she pulled me aside, her voice cracking. Sarah, I didn't know. I thought I was helping you see reality. I'm so sorry. I looked at my sister, the one who had once made me feel so small, and I felt something surprising. Not triumph exactly, but peace. I know you thought you were helping, I said gently, but your words almost broke me. The only reason I kept going was because I refused to let your doubt define me. She cried. I held her. Not because she deserved my comfort, but because I had finally become someone who no longer needed her validation. Today, I live in a beautiful home with a studio I could have never imagined. I still create not because I have to, but because I love it. And every time I walk past that little office where I once cried on the floor, I smile. The moral? Never let anyone, even the people who share your blood, convince you that your dreams are worthless. The things they mock today might be the very things that set you free tomorrow. Your worth is not determined by their opinion. It's proven by your persistence. And sometimes, the sweetest revenge isn't screaming back. It's quietly building something so beautiful that their words turn to dust in the light of your success. I'm Sarah, and this was my story. Thank you for watching. If you've ever been underestimated by someone you loved, drop AEI in the comments. You're not alone, and your comeback is coming.